I wanted to shoot a video today to start a series on the book of Proverbs. When I was in school, my doctorate was done on the book of Proverbs, specifically using the book of Proverbs for counseling people in their lives with their particular problems. And I wanted to do a brief study today for a few minutes on the first chapter of the book of Proverbs. And I've got the screen, on the screen itself, I've got the verses of the first chapter. But you'll notice here in the beginning, the Proverbs of Solomon, that's the four words mentioned in the beginning. The idea is the son of David, the king of Israel, collected these proverbs, as was used a lot of times by kings of old whenever they would defeat armies or nations. One of the first things they would do is gather the best and the brightest together within their community and to try to draw from within them the wisdom that their nation or their culture or society had possessed. And so by putting all of that together, the whole intention was to pass it on to their children, to the prince, to the person that was going to become the king. And so what Solomon is doing, and who Solomon is the greatest king to ever live, of course. He's accumulated wisdom, divine wisdom, to counsel people with. Now, there's a lot of thought out there in terms of psychiatry and which methodology is the best. But when we come back to it, there's one maker and one counselor, and that is the God who made us. So what Solomon is doing is he's preserving some of this, what we call wisdom literature, that would help us learn to have successful, happy lives, as he says in the book of Exegesis, to live life under the sun. And this first word here, the word is Proverbs in the Hebrew. The word is mashal, and the idea is that these are the rules for life. That word mashal is used in the book of Genesis to talk about the two great lights, the one to rule the day, which is the sun, one to rule the night, which is the moon. And God placed those to rule over the earth. And so, a lot of people want to violate these rules. I don't care whether you're trying to get success in your life, whether you're trying to build relationships, or just whatever it is you're doing, have a happy marriage. If you're going to violate the principles by which the spiritual laws in this universe work, then you're only going to harm yourself. And so what I want to do is try to share some wisdom from Solomon that might help you in your life. And this whole first chapter really is about the idea of collecting wisdom, you having the words of understanding so you could make great decisions in your life. You'll notice in verse 7, that's a key verse to the first chapter, because he says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. The idea here that I'd like you to grasp is, if you don't have reverence for what God has to say, for what the Spirit of God has revealed to man about how this world works, then you're probably not going to get a whole lot of wisdom in your life. So the fear of the Lord, that's not being afraid of him. The idea is reverencing him and understanding that he is the creator and that he did leave us wisdom on this earth for us to be able to raise our children in a great way, to be able to be great employees on the job, to have wonderful relationships in our home, to leave the addictions behind, and basically to have a peaceful and a fulfilled life. So he says, but the first attitude or frame of mind is you have to be willing to accept that, you know what, I don't have all the answers, and some man doesn't have all the answers, but the creator of us as creatures, he has the answers for us. Now he says in verse 9 that if you'll gather this wisdom that he's offering you, then it'll be like an ornament of grace and a chain about thy head. The idea is, and I'd like for you to picture someone bending over and a great king placing a necklace around the head of the person, an ornament, something very beautiful. And the picture here is that if you've taken the time to ascertain some knowledge and you reverence God's word, then the beautiful picture is it's like a chain, an ornament about your neck. And there are a lot of folks trying to buy gold chains and diamonds and so forth, but here he's saying wisdom makes you look quite beautiful. And that's a point I'd like to make about you guys out there. You want to attract a mate who can bring peace in your home and who loves you and who will do that unconditionally. All of the things that you want in her, you have to be. You have to be the kind of person that will attract her. And so one of the ways to do that is to have wisdom in your life. You may not be the best looking, but you can certainly attain wisdom by a study of the book of Proverbs. And it'll be like an ornament about your neck. He says, now look, if my son, in verse 10, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. And the whole idea here in this first chapter is dealing with young people and the tendency for us to be attracted by those around us and peer pressure. The idea of gangs is portrayed here. That's not anything new. That was going on back, in Solomon's day. So the folks say, come with us. Let us lay and wait for blood. Let us lurk privily for the innocent without cause, and we'll swallow them up. And when we do, in verse 13, we're going to get rich. We're going to steal their stuff, and we're going to fill our houses with spoil. He goes on to say in verse 15, don't walk in the way with them. Don't let them tempt you, because that is not going to bring you lasting peace and fulfillment. Matter of fact, he says in verse 16, the best thing you can do is just run. When that begins to happen in verse 16, he says, for their feet run to evil and make haste to shed blood. So what you want to do is not walk in the way, verse 15. They lay in wait to destroy lives. In verse 19, they're greedy of gain. And anybody that's greedy it's going to take away the life of the owners. Matter of fact, in a later chapter, he's going to talk about if you want your barns to be plentiful, then you need to cast your bread upon the waters. You need to be willing to give. And we'll talk about that later. Most people want to hold on to everything. The idea is, and that's a universal principle, the more you give, the more it comes back to you. So how could you go about today, rather than being greedy and holding on to everything in your life, can you contribute into the lives of other people? How could you do that? And so we'll stop for today and just realize Solomon's got a lot of wisdom for you. And go ahead, you can subscribe to my channel, and I'll continue to do some teaching all the way through, or at least a great portion of the book of Proverbs. And my hope will be that it will bring you wisdom and that your life can be everything that you want it to be. And so check back in. I'll also put this on my blog. You guys have a great day, and know that this world is controlled by a God who cares about his people and wants to bless you. Bye-bye.